Bueno, muy buenos días a todas las personas que se van conectando a esta sesión informativa de Futuro con la Universidad de Exeter en Reino Unido. Como se pueden dar cuenta, nos acompañan tres representantes de esta universidad. Está Robin, Pepe y Thomas, y ellos nos van a explicar toda la información general de la universidad y también nos van a dar a conocer información sobre el convenio que se tiene con Colfuturo y que más adelante van a poder conocer cuál es ese beneficio que ustedes podrían tener si se llegan a postular con uno de sus programas a nuestro programa Crédito Beca. Así que les recuerdo, si de pronto no conocen sobre nuestro programa, nosotros ofrecemos una financiación que en este caso es de máximo $50,000 y que pueden complementar con el beneficio que les da directamente la universidad. Si desean postularse, la próxima convocatoria abrirá en enero de 2024 y tendrán su plazo hasta febrero para hacer la postulación. Así que volviendo al tema, vamos a tener esta presentación con los tres representantes. Si ustedes tienen dudas, preguntas, pueden escribirlas en la cajita de Q&A y al final de la presentación vamos a resolver cada una de esas inquietudes. Así que sin más introducción, thank you so much, Robin, Pepe, and Thomas for being here, and you can go ahead and start the presentation.
Thank you very much, Lady. We're delighted to be here, and thanks very much for hosting this today. We've had a long-standing relationship with Colfuturo, and it's a real privilege to be able to talk to our students and other stakeholders in Colombia, who with whom we've had a long and very fruitful relationship. So just to introduce our little team today, my name is Robin Rhodes, and I'm the Regional Manager for the Americas in the International Student Recruitment Team. And I'm accompanied by two academic colleagues. That's Tom Chinyu, Social Sciences for Our Environment, and Dr. Pepe Romanillos, Human Geography. So as ladies just outlined, what we're going to try to do today is just give you, first of all, with me, a very quick overview of Exeter, where we are, a little bit about the university, some of the sort of simple nuts and bolts of applying, the basics of applying to the university, and then a bit about the scholarship funding possibilities for you to come and study with us. So next slide, Tom, if I may. Where is this place called Exeter? That's a good place to start. Not all of you will have heard of it, but I would hope the majority of you know the shape of the UK. And that's what you've got in the map there, is the UK minus Scotland at the top. And if you look down in the left-hand corner, there's a peninsula sticking out into the Atlantic Ocean, which is the southwest of the UK, and that's where Exeter is located. Exeter is very well connected by road and rail to London. It's 2 to 2.5 hours by train from London down to Exeter, and 3 to 4 by road. Within Exeter, we have two campuses, the main Streatham campus, which you can see in the main picture top right there, which has the not the majority, but the largest number of departments and courses on that particular site. And across town, we have the St. Luke's campus, which is home to our medical school and School of Education. And what we think is a great offer for students, particularly coming from overseas, is the best of both worlds of having a lovely green, safe campus environment, but that is just a short walk from the main commercial centre. So both the St. Luke's and Streatham campuses are no more than 20 minutes walk into the city centre, where you'll find shops and cafes and bars and cinemas and theatres and so on. But as I say, you can return to a lovely green campus environment to study. Then next slide, Tom, to highlight the Penryn campus, which is where Tom's based, which is just outside the lovely marina town of Falmouth. And again, you can see that in the picture there, which is a little bit further down west. It's about another 2 hours by train or rail. Lovely environment. And the Penryn campus has many different departments, but is perhaps most famed for themes relating to environment and sustainability. Now, I should say there are 30,000 students across those three campuses. And indeed, we have a fourth little research centre in Truro. So whilst it's a large total number of students, actually, it never feels too much, never feels too overwhelming, because those students are divided up across those various centres. I would also point out that we're what I would call a full service university. So we offer everything from accounting to zoology, with a medical school, a law school, and a school of education, business school, and so many different departments. I won't bore you by listing them all, but I would invite you to take a look at our web pages just to check out what different disciplines and courses we offer. Next slide, Tom, just to give you an overview about us and our credentials. We are a research intensive university, and you'll see bottom right there, more than 90% of our research was assessed as being an internationally excellent standard. And above that, we were ranked 40th in the Leiden ranking, which looks at the citations, how often our research is mentioned. And the result of that research profile, we are a member of the prestigious Russell Group of universities in the UK, which includes Oxford and Cambridge and Imperial. But we're also very proud that within that group, last year, we were first for student satisfaction. So we take a lot of pride in the fact that we're not just research heavy, but also our students are happy and receive really good high quality teaching and great outcomes on graduation. We're top 150 in the world and top 15 in all national league tables within the UK, and also top 50 in the world for the most international universities. So you'll see over 30,000 students, of which 7,000 are international from over 150 different countries. And as a result of that very international, vibrant community, we also have obviously a lot of alumni, so ex-alumnus. 155,000 we're in touch with across 183 countries. And next slide. And just before we go on to how to apply to Exeter, I just wanted to flag it's not just the quality of the university you're coming to and the campus environment, it's the wider natural environment of the Southwest. This is where everyone goes on holiday in the UK. If they're not going to go abroad to Spain and Italy and Greece and France, they come to the Southwest, to our beaches. You'll see beautiful white-owned beaches, surfing capital of the UK's on the North Devon and Cornwall coast, and also lovely fishing villages and towns of the type you'll see in the bottom right. Also a very historical area of the country. We've mentioned the medieval cathedral in Exeter, but also Truro Cathedral there, top right. Very foodie culture and lots of different festivals, whether those are music or arts and culture. So just to flag, the experience you would get in coming to the Southwest is beyond just the university campus. And next slide. Right, a very quick overview on how to apply to Exeter. Entry requirements to our master's programs from a Columbian point of view. In general, for our master's courses, we're looking for an academic profile of around about 3.8, 4.0 out of 5 on the Columbian University grade scale. So that's in your licenciatura, your título, pregrado. Though I would say that there is some variation across different courses. So that's not a concrete number you have to achieve. So please do check our web pages to see what your chosen course requires for entry. For English language test results, we're typically looking for an IELTS 6.5 or a TOEFL 90, but again, that can vary. So again, check the web pages. One thing I would really highlight, you can apply without your English language test result in hand. Many students that I meet in Colombia and elsewhere in Latin America think that they have to have everything all together, their final titular, their English language test result, their references, absolutely everything before they can apply. And that's not true. You can apply simply with your most recent transcript. So your lista de notas, cardex, I'm not sure, I forget what you tend to use as the terminology in Colombia, but basically your list of courses and grades. That's all we need in the first instance. And if we like what we see, your academic background, we will give you what's called a conditional offer. And then you have the remainder of the year to sit your English language, IELTS or TOEFL, and you can send that in later, and we'll subsequently make your offer unconditional. And next slide. In terms of funding options, we've had, as I say, a long relationship with Colfuturo, and we greatly value the students that come through that process. As a result of our agreement, any student who is successful in passing the Col Futuro competitive application will receive a fee discount of 20%. So your tuition fee would be reduced by 20%. We do ask you to follow this process. Please apply to us early. We will give you that conditional offer if you meet our academic requirements. So the English can still be pending, can still be awaited. Then you apply to Col Futuro, and lady, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the deadline still ends at the end of February, 28th of February, and with the results coming out in May. Okay, and at that point, as I say, anyone who's in that position will receive the 20% fee discount. All of those candidates will also be considered for an additional University of Exeter scholarship called IUDAR, which is offered by a donor of Exeter, an ex-alumno of Exeter who wants to support just Colombian students with this scholarship. And if you're lucky enough to get that award, you will then have your living costs. Manutención will be covered. So travel, accommodation, food is worth about £17,000. And there's always one, and sometimes as many as 3 scholarship recipients for this award. So we can talk about that a bit more in the end, but I'll now pass over to Tom.
Hi, everyone. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the master's programs in the Penryn campus within the CGES department. So that's the Centre for Geography and Environmental Sciences. And there's 2 sort of key offerings there that we're doing at the moment that I want to talk about, which have a sustainability focus. One of them is the MSc in Sustainable Development, and the other one is quite a new one. It's just starting its 2nd year in Marine and Coastal Sustainability. So they're both taught masters, but they're very much based on a lot of the research that the staff do there within the centre. There's another important thing I'd like to talk about, which is the Environment and Sustainability Institute, which is a relatively large building which has scientists and researchers from many different disciplines, all with this focus on sustainability. And the masters are very much embedded within that centre as well. So what's great about the masters is that they're quite problem focused. They start with sustainability challenges and problems, and then they're very happy to, or they allow for people to teach and to try and find solutions regardless of which department they're from. So they're very interdisciplinary masters. And so it's got researchers that are based, that do physical geography, and that are more used to sort of quantitative approaches through to the social sciences and politics and law. So there's a huge variety of different sort of subjects and topics within these 2 masters. And we connect up across departments outside of ESI and CGES as well. So we work closely with some of the university-wide networks like Exeter Marine and Exeter Energy, both of which have a very high, sort of very prominent presence in the Penryn, the Cornwall campus. So just to zoom in a little bit on the Sustainable Development Masters, which has been going for quite a long time. As I was saying, it's very multidisciplinary. It looks at sustainability and in all of its complexity. So it doesn't zoom in on any particular aspect. It really seeks to remain quite broad and give students the opportunity to zoom in whenever and wherever they want to zoom in particular for their dissertations. And so we look at challenges related to climate change, to energy, to human well-being, to environmental governance. And most of our lectures have an element or component which is very theoretical, and then another half tends to be very much more practical, and the practical half tends to be linked to our research. So we have a good balance of theory and yes, and an ability to talk about the research that we're doing, and we remain very current in terms of what's going on out there in international and local policy as well. So, for example, at the moment, we're very much focusing on sustainable development goals across many of the modules that we offer. So, of course, all of this will be available online, but just to give you a bit of an idea of the kinds of modules that you might have within this master's. The compulsory ones, there's not many. A very broad module on sustainable development, which really is going to give you some of the key theories and some of the key concepts that you need. And then a more methods-based module that's going to equip you with the tools to be able to carry out your own research and your own dissertation or your own project. And then, of course, across all the masters, I think, within the University of Exeter, you'll have a dissertation or a project module as well. So those are the three ones that you have to do, but as I say, they're very broad and very useful for all students. And then you've got a huge variety, and this is just some of them, of modules that you can choose, which can stem from marine and coastal ecosystems, so focus on the sea, which is and the coast and the coastal communities that depend on it. It's a big part of what we do, especially in the Cornwall campus as well, because we are surrounded by sea. Nature, health and well-being, global sustainability challenges. You can even take some modules at the Exeter campus as well. So there's a whole variety of different modules, many of which are embedded across different departments and not just the Centre for Geography and Environmental Science. I should say that a lot of the focus that I do is very much on marine coastal social ecological systems and marine and coastal sustainability. So I'll take a more coastal focus in the research that I do. And a lot of the researchers, a lot of the lecturers that are teaching there are very interdisciplinary themselves. For example, I started in biology and now I'm more in the social sciences. So I try and bring a little bit of both of those disciplines in what I teach. So the second master's that I want to talk about that's just sort of started is called the Marine and Coastal Sustainability Program. And again, this is very much about sustainability challenges, very interdisciplinary. As you'll see, it's got a similar set of kind of core modules, but it really forces you to zoom in on marine and coastal problems. And what's quite interesting there is the theory element of it is very, very broad and sometimes might be linked to terrestrial systems. But as we go into the sort of practice and we talk about research and we zoom in on the sort of practice element within the lecture, it really does focus on coastal communities across the world, but also with a focus on the UK. And here you can see that the compulsory modules are quite similar, one on methods, one on dissertation. But instead of having this broad perspectives on sustainable development, here we really focus on marine and coastal social ecological systems. And we have some other credits that we do ask students to take, such as looking at governance in the seas or fisheries management and marine protected areas. So this is very closely linked as well to the biosciences department. And so we've got a lot of other lecturers there that focus on physical processes within the seas and fisheries management. And so there's a huge overlap between the two masters, but they do have distinct flavors. But what's great is a lot of the students get to know each other and talk to each other and form a sort of a larger cohort as a group. So there's a bit of a sense of identity as well there. I think that's all I wanted to say, but of course, if there's any questions, then I'll be around at the end as well. And I think now it's over to you, Pepe.
Thanks, Tom, Robin and Lady, thank you. Hello, everyone. Good to meet you all. My name is Pepe Romanillos, and I'm a lecturer in human geography and director of global engagement based at the Streatham campus near Exeter. I'd like to talk about two master's programs we have here at Streatham. They're linked to our Global Systems Institute. There's obviously an Environmental Systems Institute down at in Penryn, and there's a Global Systems Institute up at Streatham. The GSI is home to some of the world's leading climate researchers across the physical and social sciences, such as Professor Tim Lenton and Neil Adger. It's focused primarily on understanding global challenges and thinking through practical solutions associated with sustainable transitions. Many of the academics in the Institute have contributed internationally to forums like the IPCC, and have close relationships with private and public sector bodies, not least the UK Met Office, which is also located in Exeter. So the first program that I've got up here is the MSc Global Sustainability Solutions Masters, which is very much the flagship program of the GSI Institute. The program is very much an interdisciplinary program, and it sits sort of intellectually between economic, social, environmental fields. I suppose the basic premise of the masters is this idea that to try and make a difference in the transformations towards sustainability, whether for corporations, businesses, or institutions, that for students to be agents of change in that process, they'll be best placed to contribute if they've actually got a very sort of multiple form of awarenesses of economic, social, environmental pressures and contexts that face organizations. And so the sort of the intellectual content of the masters train students up across those three broad fields. Next slide, please, Tom. One of the features of the Global Sustainability Solutions Masters is that it provides students with an opportunity to explore these sorts of pressures and challenges in real-world contexts. For example, by having the choice of undertaking a work placement or research project with an organization as an alternative to a traditional dissertation. So it really sort of prioritizes or makes possible students gaining really sort of valuable career-facing experience by being embedded in with an organizational partner. Students receive training on systems thinking and are encouraged to explore, I suppose, the practical applications of making use of systems thinking for organizations, and in particular get students to think about how these things sort of interface in relationship to the world of policy, and thinking about policy debates in the context of sustainability. Next slide, please, Tom. The program structure, again, is sort of divided into a set of compulsory modules that all students will take, and a set of optional modules from which students select two for this program. Where you'll see the largest component of work is the solutions project, which can take either the form of an academic dissertation, sort of conducted at the university, or an internship project, where you engage in research on a particular sustainability challenge that's been selected by a business, institution, or university partner. The optional modules on this program include units from economics, business, and management, as well as a further opportunities, if you see the final optional module there, as a further opportunity to gain additional work placement experience with an organization. So very much a sort of an applied masters. Thank you. Next slide, please. The second master's program I want to introduce is more science focused, the MSc in Geographical Information Science, or GIS. Well, I didn't realize that thing was going to have flashing images moving around. So again, this program is again a very applied master's program, seeking to train students in the transferable skills of GIS, digital computing, and also the possibility of using novel technologies like drones to produce visualizations, images that can be useful for analysis. For example, students receive commercial drone training on this program and gain a certification on drones alongside the masters. And the last line there shows that they also have the opportunity of undertaking an additional exam, which would award a commercial Esri certification, Esri being one of the leading producers of GIS technology that's recognized worldwide. So yeah, very much, again, a sort of applied focus to this program. Next slide, please. Again, the sort of the premise of this master's is that there's sort of vast potential in geospatial data, which is only growing in volume and importance in our digital world. And the master's is designed to train students to think about and develop skills in how you might work with that data in the idea of contributing to sustainable solutions. Again, with this master's, there's sort of modules which grant students the opportunity to gain real-world practical experience by undertaking research and consultancy with commercial partner organizations, and bringing and sort of applying skills that you've developed on the course in relationship to a sort of more substantive project focused and co-designed in some respects with a partner organization. So sort of testing out those skills around sort of consultancy would be one of the key highlights, I think, of this program. Next slide, please. So as with the GSS Masters, as we see in the first line of the compulsory modules, students have the option of undertaking an applied project on GIS that is either sort of academic, sort of traditional dissertation, or a sort of consultancy project, which is developed in relationship with the interests of a partner organization. In this master's program, students choose 3 optional modules from a slightly wider range of options, which include business and consultancy modules. I should also point out that this master's in GIS is a new addition to our master's portfolio at Exeter this coming year, and I think it offers a really exciting prospect for students interested in the applied use of GIS, geospatial data, and with interest in computing. Yeah, thank you. And again, any questions on anything we've covered, please do let us know.
Okay, I'm sorry, I was with my mic off. Okay, so thank you again. Thanks, Robin. Thanks, Thomas and Pepe, for all the information. As I said before, it's like a general information of the university. So if you have questions regarding the programs, I don't know if maybe, Robin, you can send us an email in case the participants wants to get more information about the different programs. And I'm going to have time for the questions. So I'm going to check here in the Zoom if we have questions. And I check that we don't have it here. So I will. There is one that is Jorge, and he is asking about a language school in English to achieve proficiency in the language. I guess you already answered the question. So I'm going to go with the questions we have from social media. And here is if the participants have more questions, you can write it down on the Q&A box. And we have one frequent question in the social media, and this one is about the cost of living. So they know that maybe UK is a little bit expensive, and they want to know if maybe you can give us like a estimated budget that they have to take into account if they want to study in this country.
Yeah, I think I would suggest have a look at the tuition fees on your chosen course, which does, again, vary, particularly at master's level. There's a great variance between the different programs. So that's the first thing to check. Do note that if you are successful in going through Cultura, we've already mentioned there's a 20% fee discount, then I think probably realistically £10,000 to £12,000 for the year. So $15,000 perhaps to cover accommodation, food, transport, and so on. So it is a consideration, but the up to $50,000 available through Cultura for up to 2 years would be more than sufficient, to cover those costs, particularly with the fee discount. And of course, if you're successful with the IU DAS scholarship, then all of your living expenses are covered. So you're probably looking at, $20,000 or $20,000 to $25,000 for your fees with the discount, and then all of your living expenses covered. And of course, the the Colfatoro Award is a loan scholarship of which a portion needs to be repaid, but there is also still a free scholarship element to it. So funding yourself entirely would be quite expensive, but with the various funding schemes available, there are ways to make it more affordable.
Good. And then we have a question from Lionel. He's asking, can you repeat the deadlines?
Yeah, so was I correct, lady, with the Colfatoro
Yeah,
deadline?
the ones from Colfuturo are correct.
So 28th of Feb. So in order to apply to Colfatoro, we just ask that you apply to us at Exeter first for your chosen masters and receive at least your conditional offer. So I'll repeat again, you don't have to have your English language tests right now, but have that conditional offer and then apply to Colfatoro. If you are successful in passing that competitive process, and I will defer to my colleagues at Colfatoro to explain that process, which is very transparent, very clear and very detailed, then the results will come out in May and you will automatically receive the 20% fee discount and automatically be considered for IUDAR. There's no separate application required. And it's simply an interview with a small panel here. And between typically 1 to 3 Colombians a year will receive that IUDAR, at least one. And it sounds very little, but we don't have huge numbers. So please don't be put off by that. We're talking sometimes 6, 8 students maximum, of which 1 or 2 or 3 will get the IUDAR award. So please go ahead and apply.
Good, thank you. Then we're gonna go ahead with Camila, and she's asking about this IUDAR scholarship, the one that you mentioned. And she wants to know if it is just one per year or like how many times they can apply for this scholarship.
Yeah, it is just once a year, and it is between 1 and 3 awards. So yeah, once the Colfatoro results come out, we'll typically in June have the interviews, and by the end of June, the lucky recipient will know and then be able to go and get their visa and get ready to come. Yeah, but it is only an annual award, so once a year.
Okay, good. Then we have Lionel. And he's asking about the cost of a Master of Science. So maybe if you can let us know where they can find that information on the webpage, so he can check that information.
Yeah, by all means. So you just go to the main webpage, which I will put in the chat. I've already put there our Americas email. So any general inquiries can come to the Americas regional mailbox. Our main website, I've just dropped in the chat. Simply go there, click on study, and then choose. There are undergraduate options, but also the master's options. And then they're divided by discipline, by subject. And you'll find, for instance, Pepe and Tom's subjects under geography. Then you click on the relevant web page, you go to the chosen course. So you're looking at, for instance, MSc Sustainable Development. The fee is given on every web page for every course page. So that's the rack rate tuition fee.
Good. Then we have Jorge, and he's asking about part-time. What does part-time mean?
So part-time means, rather than being on the campus studying 40 hours a week, you're studying at a slower pace and doing less of these modules we've heard about, which in Spanish, using a Spanish terminology, materia. So just doing fewer modules, fewer materias, and doing it at a slower rate. Most international students would come and study full-time, even though go back a few years, international students must study full-time, but now it is possible to study part-time, but the vast majority choose to study full-time so that the course is finished in one single year. Obviously, it's less cost because you're not having so much living expense, right?
Voy a añadir algo para Jorge. Entonces, más o menos part-time es like medio tiempo en español. A eso hace referencia. Es un programa de medio tiempo. Y también para tener en cuenta que el futuro solo financia programas que son full-time. Entonces, si llegas a tomar la opción part-time, el futuro no la va a poder financiar. Debe ser un programa full-time y 100% presencial para que nosotros podamos ofrecer ese beneficio de la financiación. And then we have another question from social media. And this one is about like the things they have to take into account in order to have a successful application process. So maybe can you give us a piece of advice of the things that they have to take into account for that?
Yeah, as I was trying to detail that in one of the slides, Please don't be put off, and please don't think it's hard to apply. It really isn't. We just want your, actually, lady, what do you tend to use for the word transcript? Is it in like Mexico, they'll say cardex or not listed and notas? Oh no, historial académico, right? Historial
Yeah,
académico.
transcript is like certificado de notas, maybe.
There you go. All right, that one. So all we really need is the completed online postgraduate application form and your transcript, which gives you a list of subjects and grades. With that, that's the starting point. We can give you a conditional offer. You do officially also need a reference, and you need at some point to meet the English language requirement, IELTS or TOEFL. But what I really want to get across is in the first instance, you just apply with that transcript and we can give you a conditional offer, because many students I find wait until they've got everything together, and then it becomes too late to apply for the following year, for that's the upcoming year entry, and then have to roll over and apply the next year again. So just get the process started with your online application form and the transcript, and everything else you can find the reference from an academic, and you can do your English language test result later.
Good. Then I'm trying to understand Camila's question. Se podría conocer, give me just one moment. Las investigaciones profesores para el proyecto de la investigación. She's asking about the investigation profile of the teachers or the professors in the Master of Science of Conservation and Biodiversity. Maybe
So that might be one for Tom, I think, possibly then. Put you on the spot.
I don't know much about this this master's myself, but if you could repeat, is the question who the lecturers are? Is that what you meant?
Yeah.
Research profile. I mean,
Yeah,
so Brendan Godley and his team, I guess, the sort of research profile. I suppose area and expertise.
Yeah, I guess all I can say is that we've got in particular a very strong marine and conservation focus down there with Brendan Godley, Callum Roberts, Julie Hawkins. These are very big names in marine conservation, incredibly well connected, and actually span research that is quite biophysical all the way through to very social, and actually, in the case of Callum Roberts in particular, very embedded in policy as well. So I think, and of course there's a lot of amazing terrestrial work as well, and it crosses terrestrial and marine and coastal divides. But I think you've got some very big profiles and some very big names, especially in the marine world down there as well, and in conservation more broadly. And what's great again is that if you were to make a sort of a link between all the researchers in that field and in the sustainable development field, you'll see that there is a line that connects all these different people up via at least just maybe only one other academic. So everyone is actually quite connected as well. So I'm not sure if that completely answers the question, but I think it gets there.
And they're also very receptive to inquiries. They're very, have had some great students from the Americas, both North and Latin America. So I know for a fact they're very interested in receiving more students. So, please do get in touch. They're great in terms of connecting with students, answering queries, and getting involved with whatever the students' research interests may be. So do get in touch.
Yeah, then we have, where he's asking about the master big data. I would say that we have the webpage, so you can go ahead and check, and you will have all the information there. And the last question that I have from social media, it's about the geography program. They want to know if they want to apply for a master in this area, they must have a bachelor's degree in geography, or maybe they can have a master's degree in civil engineering, or maybe in other area. Or is it specifically in geography, the bachelor's degree?
I answer that one. Yeah, thanks for the question. I think the prerequisites, or the bachelor degrees that you need to have, there's no specification in subject area, and so, for example, for the GIS module, the only academic requirement is around that 3.8 score of your on your transcript. They're very open degree programs. If you do have experience in say geography or GIS, you can take certain different sets of modules which allow you to operate at a different sort of level, but there's no sort of academic specification that you have to do that undergraduate bachelor degree to be able to apply to do the master's degree. And I think that's quite standard for quite the majority of master's programs, certainly the geography ones.
Thank you.
It's
And
just to jump in, yeah, again, you'll find that on the individual course web pages. So if you look on global sustainability solutions, I'm just looking myself, and absolutely, yeah, no subject specific are required, which means you can come from any background. And I'm sure it's the same for sustainable development, isn't it, Tom? Students come from both a science background or a social science background or even business. You come from lots of different academic contexts. So yeah, don't be put off by that.
And I guess this question is for Thomas. And Camila is asking where she can find the information of the research groups of the Master of Conservation and Biodiversity.
I think one of the best things that you can do is look at the different modules that you'll be looking at within the program, and look at the names and start seeing the different leads for each of those modules and finding out a little bit more about who they are. That would be my first port of call. I've been talking a lot about marine over there, probably because I'm biased and that's my focus, but as well, looking at Exeter Marine would probably get you close to quite a lot of the people on the conservation of biodiversity as well, which is a huge network of marine and coastal scientists. And then, of course, the University of Exeter has a series of research groups. So you can go within certain departments and find out what the research groups are there, what are the kinds of themes that they're engaging with. But I think if I was them, I would really just go down to the level of detail of the modules that are being offered that they might be interested in, and see who the lead the module leads are for each of those.
Yeah. Thank you, Thomas. And well, I guess Robin is answering Christian's question, but in this case, I don't know, maybe Robin, you can say to other people the answer of this question of the scholarship, if that's applied for all the different majors.
Yeah, absolutely. Today we chose to focus on sustainability type programs, but yeah, absolutely. Any 1-year masters. There are 1 or 2 exemptions simply because they're capped programs, like MA International Film Business, for instance, because there's an external partner. But that almost any 1-year full-time masters is considered is eligible for the consideration for IUDAR. So yeah, no, absolutely. Don't think it's only the programs you've heard about today.
Yeah. And I have Camila's question. This one is for me. Su pregunta es, si quiero aplicar a Exeter para Colfuturo, ¿cuándo tendría que aplicar? Entonces creo que ya Robin habló sobre ello, sin embargo voy a explicarlo de nuevo en español. En este caso, Colfuturo abre su convocatoria del programa Crédito Beca el 9 de enero del 2024, cierra el 29 de febrero del mismo año, así que tienes este lapso de tiempo para hacer tu postulación a Colfuturo para nuestro sistema de financiación. Para nosotros no es obligatorio contar con carta de admisión, entonces si para ese momento aún no has recibido esa carta, te puedes postular sin ningún problema, pero pues en este caso sí juega una ventaja a favor el poder contar con esa carta, ya sea condicional o incondicional. Así que la invitación es en este caso, averigua que ya pues Robin nos dio las fechas que hay la postulación para los programas de Exeter, puedes averiguar, hacer tu proceso con ellos, y si en el mejor de los escenarios para la postulación a Colfuturo ya tienes tu carta de admisión, tendrías esta ventaja. En caso de que no la tengas, igualmente te puedes postular a nuestro sistema de financiación. Si nosotros te elegimos desde Colfuturo, nosotros vamos a enviar el nombre a la universidad y la universidad se encarga de otorgarles, en este caso, ese descuento del 20%. Así que ese sería como el proceso.
Yeah, and just to add to that, lady, I think, as you say, you don't have to have the acceptance letter to make the application for Colfuturo, but we just want students to get going, because what happens often, in April, they're, suddenly, I'll do my application, but because you can get a conditional offer so early, we just want students to get going, and you can fulfill the other requirements later. So yeah, it's just a great idea from our point of view to already be in the system with that conditional offer.
Okay, I guess we have another question from Lionel. If I got a scholarship with other university, can I apply for early discount in Exeter?
That's if we do get students who haven't initially applied to Exeter who later want to be considered and can be bicultural. Is that correct, lady?
Yes, they can do it.
They can still do that. So what would happen is then they would still have to submit a formal application to us to get that offer letter. But yes, it can be done. It's just, again, better to think about this in advance and apply to us in the autumn if you can. Yeah.
And I guess we didn't have more questions. So again, thanks, Thomas. Thanks, Pepe. Thanks, Doreen, for all the information, for answering all the questions. We already have in the chat all the emails and the links that are going to be useful for all the participants. So thanks again, the participants, for being here as well. And well, thanks and have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much, lady. And
Thank you,
everyone, for joining. Yeah.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.